When it comes to sustained woodwind, brass, and string sounds, having the ability to control dynamics with the mod wheel or some other MIDI control opens up huge opportunities for musical expression by letting us shape the dynamics of individual notes and phrases in ways that just can't possibly be achieved when a sound is merely velocity sensitive. In the piece you're about to hear, all of the sounds are coming from the Cinematic Strings library, and all of the dynamics were created by riding the mod wheel as I played in the parts. The piece you just heard was an improvisation that I recorded using 3 sounds from the Cinematic Strings library: violins, the cello section, and a large string ensemble for the basses. And I started with the violins and then went in and added some basses and then the few little cello touches. Now, the reason the changes in dynamics sound so luscious is because in CS2, moving the wheel up and down performs real-time crossfading between several layers of the authentic sounds of string sections playing at different dynamic levels. And what might those be? Well, from what I could tell by looking at the programming of the violin section sound, the Cinematic Strings guys recorded violins playing at pianissimo, mezzo piano, forte, and fortissimo. And there might even be more layers in there, but I kind of started to go blind trying to figure out what was going on, if you see what I mean. Anyway, for sake of argument, let's say that there are 4 layers of samples. And when you play a note, all 4 levels of samples are triggered simultaneously. And in fact, I have just played a note. Though with the wheel all the way down, you're not going to hear anything. And the reason for this is so that you can start a crescendo from niente, meaning nothing. And then as I move the wheel up, the pianissimo samples start to become audible as they fade in from silence. And as I move the wheel further up, the pianissimo samples are crossfaded with mezzo piano samples, and that fills in the range with a simulated piano dynamic. And then moving the wheel further up, the mezzo piano samples crossfade with the forte samples, and then finally the fortissis. Those samples. Here's another sound that offers mod wheel control of dynamics. This one being an East-West Platinum Series French horn section sound. The mod wheel setup is a little different from Cinematic Strings in that when the mod wheel is all the way down, we get a piano dynamic, not niente. So the range of the mod wheel for this sound is piano through fortissis. You know. And what you're about to hear is a short little passage with the mod wheel fully up, playing the loudest dynamic. Here's a version where I overdubbed some mod wheel movements to give this phrase a different shape. Now I'm thinking that I'd like those first few notes to be full-on bold. So instead of redoing my mod wheel movements, I'll just go in here and edit the mod wheel data by flattening the curve and making sure that the first mod wheel event is at a high enough value to start the phrase at the loud dynamic. Here's another way to express this phrase dynamically. The notes are exactly the same, but this time, instead of performing the dynamic changes on the wheel itself, I went into the editor and entered the curve that you see here. And voila, I've got myself a forte piano crescendo gesture, sometimes written as a sforzando piano crescendo gesture. So as you can see, being able to control dynamics with a MIDI CC, like the mod wheel, gives us a huge degree of flexibility and freedom to shape the arc of individual notes and phrases in ways that just aren't possible when a sound can only be controlled at the start of a note with velocity.